While my computer was dead, I didn't have a whole lot I could do, and that gave me an opportunity to take a look back on my past work and see what I and others might be able to learn from it. I'm curious to see what my top 5 most popular pending skits are to date, and see if there's any kind of connecting thread. So today we're going to take a look over the 5 skits that got the most views, with one catch. I'm only going to be looking at skits that I made entirely by myself. The skits involving other VTubers tend to be my favorite, but I thought it'd be more interesting just to look at the solo videos because it's easier to compare them against each other than the videos that had other factors to consider. Coming up in 5th place is Post-Copa Pending Will Be Hardcore.
Hey Pending, I have great news.
Oh, what is it?
Your YouTube channel is doomed.
This is kind of a time capsule of a skit. It came before the dust on YouTube's new COPA-related policies had really settled, and there was speculation about the idea that VTubers might be flagged as targeting kids because they're animated. To my knowledge, those fears never materialized into actual problems when it comes to VTubers specifically, but you can't blame people for being concerned about the unknown, especially given YouTube's perceived history when it comes to false flagging of content. For me, I wasn't too worried about what it would mean for the channel. After all, the skits have subtitles, and she isn't exactly child-friendly. Certainly, she's not pending-friendly.
That's slender. I challenge you to name a single time I did anything that wasn't safe for all ages.
There was the time when you talked about using my tears in your missiles. But I did think it was an opportunity to have a little fun. I was a little worried about making light of a situation that deserves serious discussion, and I showed the script to a couple people ahead of time to see if they thought it was in good taste. In the end, it was well received, and rewatching it now, I feel like it did strike a balance between humor and actually trying to convey some information. But why is that thing gonna ruin the channel? What did I do wrong?
So basically, YouTube is changing so that if you make content for kids under 13, then those videos won't have things like a comment section, be allowed to be put on a playlist, or be searchable on YouTube.
As for why it did better than most skits, well, the honest answer I think is because it was topical. I really like this skit, but it had Copa in the title at a time when Copa was big news, so yeah, that probably earned it a little extra attention. Next up is a skit entitled I'm a Lie Trying to Be a Truth.
Okay, the program is active now.
Please input instructions.
So that's the AI he made?
Yeah, this is Hilliard's design alright.
If I was doing a list of my personal favorite skits, this would be number 1 or 2. I love writing comedy, I love being silly, but I want to do more than that. This is a skit dealing with a very dark scenario. It's about an AI that was just activated, with no knowledge yet, but modeled after a man's dead son.
I had no idea Hilliard was this far gone.
Hey, cut the man some slack. He lost his son. If what happened to him happened to you, and you had this kind of opportunity, what would you do?
Please input instructions.
As hard as it'd be, I'd try to move on. I certainly wouldn't dedicate my time and energy to something like this thing.
Maybe, I'm not sure I would agree. It's hard to know what we would truly do in his shoes. Hopefully neither one of us will have to find out.
There isn't a single joke or light moment in this entire skit. It also hits me on a very personal level because this is a skit that in some ways is about my own insecurities. The title is a direct reference to how I feel sometimes. For all my efforts to be happy and cheerful and positive, sometimes I feel the exact opposite. Sometimes it feels like everything about me is fake, and sometimes I'm not sure what I am. Is Penny just an exaggerated version of me? Is he the type of person that I, for the most part anyways, wish I was? Or is he more of a persona I wear for fear that I might otherwise not be liked? May I ask you both a question?
Sure, why not?
Are you two my friends?
Deactivate this thing. It's creeping me out.
I don't know, and honestly, what answer I said is the truth would probably depend on what mood you caught me at that time. I think the reality is that people are complicated, and to say that someone is any one specific thing is not to convey the full truth. This skit represents the other side of the coin for me, the side that's not silly. It was gratifying to see that people were willing to indulge that side of me as well. It makes me want to show that side more often. albeit in moderation because I still do want to focus on the positive and the silly more than anything else. Or, better yet, find a way to occasionally meld the comedy with something more dramatic, as we'll talk about later. The next on the list is Getting Isekai'd is Hard. I was thinking we should become an isekai anime so that we'll be popular too. However, while it might be the third most viewed video among my solo skits, if you dig a little deeper, you'd see that the views aren't telling the whole story. Well, I try not to spend too much time diving into YouTube analytics, even for a video like this. If I look at the average time a viewer spent watching this video, I'd see that they tend to watch less than a quarter of it, which is pretty low for a pending skit. Why is that? Well, my theory is that it's showing up in some YouTube searches involving the word isekai, leading to some people clicking on it, not knowing what to expect, and then immediately clicking it off when it's not what they were hoping for. At least, that's what I'm thinking after a quick look into it, though I'm far from an expert on these things. I will add that probably related to that, the skit has more dislikes on it than my typical skits, which makes sense if people are clicking on it and then not getting what they want. That all said, is the skit any good? Well, first off, it's the oldest of my skits on this list. This skit features the very first version of 2D pending, and was made back when I used a ding for subtitles voice instead of text-to-speech. Looking back on it now, this feels like something of a transitional skit. I was gaining more confidence in my voice, and that was leading me to be more expressive, but I feel like I was still trying to find my way. I'm like a cockroach? Buzz, buzz, like that? And don't get me wrong, I still have a ton to learn, but I'd like to believe that I've made a lot of progress since this skit came out. Although it does have one line in it that I still really love. I can calculate pi all the way to yum. The second most popular solo skit is entitled, Is Something on Your Mind?
You made yourself an entirely new body.
Oh, so you noticed?
Are you asking me if I noticed that suddenly you look entirely different?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I noticed.
This was a pretty important skit for me. It was my first with a 3D model, though I did make a short video showing it off a couple days before this one. I was so excited about having a 3D model, and I was really happy when I got one. You can tell that I went out of my way to try and show off the model from a lot of different angles. As for the skit itself, there are parts of it that I really love, especially the exchange that pending and subtitles had about candy. I found this really cool body, and it turned out I could get into it, so I did.
That's awfully suspicious. Didn't anyone ever tell you that you shouldn't take candy from strangers?
But candy is yummy.
How is it that you're so hard to kill?
I bet it's because I'm full of candy. This skit kind of serves as a second debut for pending, given that it both shows pending in a new model, and it pushes the lore of the skits forward. In fact, I think this is around when I started to cement where I wanted the basic story of pending to go. I think if someone stumbled on the channel and decided to watch a video to see what I'm about, I'd rather they use this video as their starting point over the very first skit I made, as I feel this skit is a better representation of what I can do. Also, I realize I cheated a little with this one because it's technically not a solo skit. This skit was also the first to include virus, though this part comes in the last 20 seconds of the video, and, well, I couldn't bring myself to leave this one off the list. And the most popular solo skit I've done so far is also one of the most recent ones. It's entitled, I Lost My Job. Hey, subtitles, do you think I'm dumb?
Absolutely. Next question.
Oh.
Wait, you actually are listening to what I'm saying instead of spinning my insult into a compliment? Alright, clearly something is seriously wrong then.
I got fired from my job. This was my attempt to take what I learned when writing more dramatic skits and see if I could incorporate a little bit of that into a normal pending skit. This skit has some more serious undertones to it. Pending has just lost his job, and he is genuinely upset about that, and it's shaken his confidence a bit. It leads subtitles to be a bit more subdued and kind than usual. I like to believe it helps show how these characters have changed and grown since I started doing these skits. That said, this skit still has its silly moments, especially as it goes on.
Look, don't be all mopey. I'm sure whatever you actually did wasn't so bad.
All I did was put my milk and cookies in a box.
See? That's a pretty weak reason to fire someone.
Exactly. But then everything went dark, and they said it was my fault for getting milk everywhere.
Hey, pending. What kind of box was it?
It was gray and metal and on the wall.
Is it possible you were cramming milk and cookies into a fuse box?
My hope was that people would be responsive to having both some serious and some jokey lines in a relatively short amount of time, and it seems like they were. The fact that it was well received is encouraging, and it suggests to me that I should try to keep pushing things. I should still do silly skits, and occasionally I might want to do serious stuff too, but I should also not be afraid to experiment with combining the two, which is good because I hope to do more of that in the future.
So don't worry what that company thinks of you. They would have been destroyed in my eventual global takeover anyways.
I think at the end of the day, looking at my most popular solo skits has shown me that there isn't one single path to being well received. There's no magic bullet, as it were. Sometimes a skit is well received because it's topical, sometimes because it's different, sometimes because it represents a milestone, and sometimes it's just the luck of that almighty algorithm that I won't even pretend to understand. So I think at the end of the day, what I need to do is what makes the most sense to me. Keep trying new things, even if it occasionally involves leaving my comfort zone. But more than that, keep having fun with it. My hope has been that if I create something that I like, maybe others will find it and end up liking it too. That's not always proven to be the case, but all the videos mentioned in this list are examples of when that was true. So that's my 5 most popular solo skits, and I'm interested to know, did you guys like this video? Do you like this kind of look back analysis? Because I could potentially do this with other videos too. I could potentially do kind of deep dive analysis of various pending skits, maybe talk about the background of it, what led to it being the way it is. Maybe look at, say, the least popular skits, or the most popular collab skits, or something else entirely, if that's something you guys are interested in. So let me know in the comments, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back to doing my more regular stuff soon, and I hope you all have a good day, or night, or wherever it is where you are. Bye bye. Bye bye.